This week, the guys get into the NBA offseason, the education of basketball players, the World Cup, Pop's little crush, team loyalty, tilting on the green, and the joys of fatherhood. All that and more this week on Just Press Play.
How many losing seasons does Tom Brady have to have before you can fire him?
Well, he's got to have one. He's about to win the MVP. Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like,
it's not an unnecessary roughness. It was a completely necessary roughness. I mean, that's a good point. The man rushed for 170 yards is what he got credit for, but he walked and ran a total of like 300 yards. The man around. Good God.
as soon as it came out of my face, I knew how dumb that was.
We're back. Another week of the Just Press Play. We got the normal crew with us. By the way, LJ's here, but happy Father's Day to Pops. We got Pops on board.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Man.
It's been a great day. Been a great day.
Man, I just took a look at the TV schedule before today. I was watching Sports Center and I saw we have College World Series was a big thing on the TV schedule. The World Cup and the U.S. Open. Those were kind of the big three things in sports, at least on TV today. And all I could think is, man, about 3 p.m. today, dads all across the country are going to be checking their eyelids for cracks. I mean, it's going to be all over the place. And
sure enough, what I think I've decided too about Father's Day. I think it may be better than your birthday as a day if you're dad. So? And the reason is because on your birthday, I mean, okay, some people would argue about this. I don't like to be the center of attention, but I like to be in the point of attention.
I get you.
You know what I mean?
I get you.
And so on Father's Day, I'm not the center of attention. I share the spotlight with a lot of dads, but I do feel special all day. So it's kind of like, okay, I think I like it better than my birthday.
Really?
I hear that.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I'm not looking forward or rushing to having kids, but maybe there is something I can look forward to. It's Father's Day. One day way down the road.
Well, hey, let me warn you. Being a dad is the hardest and most difficult job you'll ever freaking do. But it's also the most rewarding.
I read something on the internet, and you can maybe attest to this, but it said something about being a dad, or it said like fatherhood is a lot like being a coach. You think you have all the answers until all of a sudden you are the coach, and you realize I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah,
and it seemed pretty on point. So.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. Yes,
but so speaking,
you don't know how much we're just making this shit up as we go along. Totally.
Well, so speaking of sports, and we were talking about the schedule. I think it was Thursday morning, maybe, I don't remember. I emailed y'all and said, well, since there's not much going on in the sports world, and literally 60 minutes later, I mean, everything I said I had to eat a lot of crow because Ronaldo, I'm going to start that. Well, Kawhi Leonard demands a trade from the Spurs. He sets off the NBA offseason. Yeah. We had a whole week of the NBA being over, and now it's back. We had a little break. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into my best of the week was Cristiano Ronaldo just did his thing to start out the World Cup. Dude went off against Spain.
I mean, seriously, that was amazing to watch. I watched every minute of that.
He had a hat trick, right? Well, he scored 3 goals.
He had a hat trick, yeah.
I want to ask LJ. I didn't watch all of the game. I caught on the second half. I was like, oh my God, because Twitter was just blowing up with Ronaldo stuff. And you had mentioned when I said that to LJ that was like at 8 a.m. local time. And so I think the game came on like 9:30. And LJ was like, what do you mean there's nothing going on? Ronaldo is playing Spain in 90 minutes. And so I went to check it on. And Spain, wouldn't you say, LJ, they're probably, if not the favorites, they're right there with like Germany and Brazil as favorites in the World Cup.
They're definitely a top 5 team. Yeah. They're maybe my favorite gameplay wise to watch. They're such a good team.
And
there was also an almost hat trick on the other side too. So that's how good they are.
And so Portugal tied or had a draw with them, a 3-3 draw. And it looked like to me, I read a stat that Spain held the ball for 2/3 of that whole match. So the only problem was they didn't have Ronaldo on their side. That was the only issue. Spain ran
Well,
into.
I will also say that's how Spain plays soccer. Is they're like the Spurs. They're like a team first sort of situation where it's not like there's not a superstar that you just get the ball to and hope they score. It's like, let's hold on to the ball. Let's play possession.
Well, they did have that one guy that kind of looked like a star. I don't know if that was just a one game thing, but what was his name that had the 2 goals?
Diego, I wouldn't say that he is like the superstar of the team. He is a superstar for sure. But, he filled the role that was necessary. I think he would have liked to have gotten one more, but yeah, he just did what his job was.
Well, yeah, he definitely would have liked to get one more because that would have been a win. But did you know, LJ, Ronaldo getting the hat trick was the first to ever record a hat trick against Spain. And he also became the oldest to ever record a hat trick in the World Cup at 33.
How? I didn't know
33.
that. No.
33 in like 130 days. I don't know if that has to be specified.
I don't know if y'all noticed, and I mean, not there's anything wrong with it, but he's a good looking dude.
Okay, well that gets me 2 things with Ronaldo.
He's good looking, man.
One is I don't know if you saw it. I'll get to that in just a second, Dad. But one was his celebration after the first goal. He did this little thing. He did this thing where he did this on his chin. And I believe what he was doing, sorry, that's bad radio out there, but he did this celebration with his chin. We'll put it in our show notes. But it was him calling himself the GOAT because, goats have a chin thing. And he was doing this little chin thing. And then he went on to score 2 more goals the rest of that match. So it was a badass celebration. And then he backed it up. But then secondly, like you said, Dad, Ronaldo, not only is he maybe the best soccer player alive, he's also a great where's his fault? He's got to have a fault. It's annoying that this man has everything going for him.
He must be dumb as a box of rocks. He's got to be stupid, right?
I don't think so.
Henny says you can only have like 10. You only get 10 things, and it's got to all add up. You cannot be that good looking, that athletic,
so
and be
what
smart.
is it? Because, he's got it all right now. He's got the whole bag of tricks.
He's got stinky feet.
Is that what it is?
That's the one thing.
Well, if I had to choose one bad thing, I could go with everything. I could be really good at everything, just have stinky feet. I think I would take that draw. It seems like a good.
I'd take the stinky feet. Yeah.
All right. Well, so we stuck on my best a little bit. I get long winded at times, but what LJ? What did you have for your best of the week?
Well, I get married in 7 days. So from the time of recording.
Yeah, getting married to the voice that you heard before this episode started is getting married to LJ in what, 6 days, right?
Well, 7 days.
6 days from the time we record?
No, like it in half an hour and 7 days from right this moment as we're recording. Yeah. So
LJ's getting married to the lovely Miss Hannah Yeager. She will become a Lutheran. We're all going to be in Chicago. I can't wait. It's going to be a great weekend.
So I guess with that,
that was almost my best. That's how pumped I am. With
that in mind, listeners, keep that in mind. With the next week might be a little bit rough schedule wise because we've got a lot going on in this family. But but I'm so pumped. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome best. I'm pretty pumped too. I'm pretty happy for y'all. Dad, what do you have going for your best this week? Besides you are having, I don't know if it says anything about your age, but one of your kids is getting married. So
no, I mean it's about that time. No. I would say though, in my best, I guess now that I've thought about it, I had my best it was just a great weekend, and Tammy and I played golf, and it was really cool. Nobody's around, but I use that a lot.
Yeah, it ends up being your best often.
So, I know, but it was really fun. So, no, my best was, today, just Father's Day was really good. I heard from my kids, went and had lunch, had deer steaks and chicken tenders over that Mamaw cooked with gravy,
so jealous.
And mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and gravy. Did I mention that we had gravy and it was just like a carbohydrate feast.
Last week we already made a point to tell everybody that gravy is something that we are all fans of in this podcast.
We're all fans of gravy.
And
if one of us has gravy throughout the week, it will be the best.
It'll make an appearance on the pod. But yeah, that I was definitely jealous of you when you were like, we're having deer steaks today. I was like, man, that sounds good.
Well, but kind of like I guess I alluded to earlier that I think I've decided that Father's Day may be better than birthday in a way. So I don't know. It's been a great weekend and a great day for me certainly. So and I'm looking forward to next week. I'm excited. We're leaving Tuesday to head to Chicago. So Super excited. A lot of fun.
There's a lot. The next few weeks
going to cool down for you too, I think.
Yes.
LJ, what do you have a worst for the week? Or?
I get married in a week, so I'm so sick and tired of planning and emailing and talking and deciding. I just want to be done. I just want it to be Monday afternoon.
Totally get that.
Everybody's asking you. Like we started out when we got on this before we started recording. We asked you like 3 questions.
Everybody I talked to has a minimum of 3 questions. And tonight, me and Andrew have to write the ceremony. Oh my god, it's just so much. Constantly, for weeks now, I've not stopped planning.
I have a question. You said 7 days from now. You mean 6 days, right? Today's Sunday night.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Okay, I thought I was right earlier, but I was gonna
be like, you're gonna be out. I mean, at this time next week, you're gonna be going somewhere.
LJ is about to miss his own wedding. He was about to miss his own wedding and show up on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let me describe to you how difficult this planning process is that I don't even know what day it is anymore. We only record on Sundays, and I have no idea what day it is. So,
all right, we'll be there Thursday. We'll keep you on. We'll keep you.
Someone help me out.
We'll help you out. We'll help you out.
We may even, since we're all going to be in the same place, we may even have a recording all from the same room with all of us under the same roof. We'll hope for it. But like we said, it's going to be a crazy week and a fun week. But I know LJ's tired of all this planning. Dad, what do you have for your worst of the week?
Well, I know we're going to get into it, so I'm going to say it quickly, but my worst is some people's reaction to what Phil Mickelson did on Saturday at the U.S. Open.
Let's talk about it. I want to hear.
I want to get into that, but my worst is some people's reaction to what he did.
Well, that gets me really excited. I don't want to we're really hitting people with the greeny teas here, but I am
back
really,
after these messages.
Yeah, right after this break, we'll tell you why. No, I thought maybe you'd be on. Because I saw a lot of odd reactions to that, or just different reactions and strong reactions to that, and I thought maybe you might be on the same boat. So I'm interested to see what you have to say. And
I have some thoughts on it too, and I'm very
just
curious.
We'll tell you what he's referring to is Phil Mickelson putted the ball, and while the ball was still rolling, he like kind of caught up to it, did something I would do at the golf course, which maybe is why people were so upset at him. Because
that's how I play putt-putt.
But he went and before the ball quit rolling, he hit it again and got a stroke penalty. We'll get all into it later, and we'll also have that video.
We'll get all into that in a minute.
But I just wanted to let the people know what we were talking about. But my worst of the week will be, I really wasn't sure how to, it's kind of a best. Well, it's the best for Reggie Bush, but do you remember, Dad? This is an interesting story I saw over the past week that I thought you would definitely remember. But did you remember a while back watching NFL games? And I remember some this past season, but they would run either out of bounds or to the end zone, and they would slip on like a hard surface or something. It seemed like there was always
that
especially in
St.
Louis.
I've wondered what that's. Right? Yes, please.
So Reggie Bush just was awarded $12.5 million in a lawsuit from 2015 against the St. Louis Rams because he ran out of bounds and he slipped on an exposed area of concrete, causing him to tear his meniscus, thus missing the rest of the year. And it's something he brought a point to it because 2 weeks later in that same season, Josh McCown slipped on the same thing, didn't get hurt, but he slipped on it. And it's because these cleats on a concrete surface. And I just thought to me, actually, this probably shouldn't be a worse. I was going to say worse is in just taking care of your players in the NFL. Like, why did this have to come to a lawsuit before you fix this? But
surely the Rams would have thought.
I mean, this was something.
And the 49ers are just as bad.
I remember this back in high school. Like we didn't have like, I don't know if they use metal cleats. They probably don't. But just when there's like sidewalk around the stadium, and if you ever accidentally, if someone in cleats accidentally was like running a route and ran onto that for a second, it's like ice. I mean, you're just sliding. And I remember me and you, I think all three of us specifically watching football one day and saw someone do that. Like, that just seems really dangerous. And it seems like it happens way too often.
They would put that stuff on the sidelines that's kind of a thick, not felt material, but like parachute. I don't know. It's a very thick,
like almost like
material. It's not concrete, but often you would see people run out of bounds and slip completely on that. And I thought, why would they put that there?
Well, and
because it could cause severe injury.
And I'm going to post the actual video of Reggie Bush's injury, but it just seems. Okay. I guess my worst of it is just. that it took all three of us to see it one time, maybe twice, and go, that seems like that shouldn't happen. You're paying these guys millions of dollars. We have these nicest stadiums. There shouldn't be an area where it's that easy for them to slip.
Even selfishly.
Yeah.
Right.
The investment that you have into it.
People are watching Reggie Bush. Care. You want to keep him well as best you can. So.
Yeah, even if you hate the guy, you've paid a lot of money to be in a league where the faces don't have.
But what makes this really good for player safety, I think, is the fact that instead of Reggie Bush, when he first brought it up, they tried to offer a settlement. And he was like, no, I'm taking this to trial. I want to go to trial. Well, and he had to wait. It was 2015 when it happened. He brought the trial up in January of 2016, and he just now won 2 years later. So I just think it's a precedent on players to go, okay, maybe I can take this to player safety is a big deal. And if
they get to take themselves more seriously, you're totally right. That's definitely a good out of your worst.
Worst is the fact that took that long for it to make a point. But I'm happy that Reggie Bush at least got awarded that money. Yeah. That's my my best / worst of the week. I think at least player safety might be on the rise for a little bit. Okay, well, so I wanted to bring this up with LJ. I wanted to think about what is your favorite sports moment involving dad or fathers, like what is your favorite sports moment involving dad?
Well, okay. So first I'm going to, let's widen it from one moment and then I'll narrow it back down in a second. Okay. But, the PGYA Cowboys just generally was the most badass team of football players that maybe ever existed.
Yes.
And
yes, it was.
we were well coached because I remember there was a guy, I can't even remember his name, but I know it was Dusty something. And he had this sick reverse and he was on a different team, but we were so well coached that we knew in third grade to stay at home and be ready for it. So,
contain.
That was, and every year the championship was in the rain and the mud, but my favorite was individual moment in that. Dad was coaching that team. And I know
that was me and Jim and Bob, wasn't it?
I was about to say, yeah.
Well, that's a hell of a group
right
there.
We also had a hell of a team. We had Trey, we had Shawan, we had, listeners, most of you aren't going to know any of these names, but we had a sick team.
We had Clint too one year, didn't Clint Harrington?
Yes, we did.
We
did.
It was a hell of a youth football team.
Oh man, we would do that defense, and we'd do that smash mouth defense where we would stunt the linebackers in. We would just kill them. Oh, it was so good.
The only third and fourth graders in the world that had any idea of how to look at an X and O plot and know. So my favorite was, so I played center for the team. And I got good. I could do shotgun in third grade. We were a serious
Couldn't everybody do shotgun? LJ could do shotgun.
But my favorite thing was we scored a touchdown once off of the center sneak because my dad reads rule books and he knew that as long as the quarterback touched the ball, it was live. So I'd snap it, quarterback would touch it, and then I'd not block anybody for a second and then just take off. And we got a touchdown on that play once, and that was the most badass feeling in the world.
Because Liv reads the rule book.
That was a good time. That was fun. Yeah. Oh, and Coach Burt. Coach Burt was with
Coach
us too.
Burt, man. Yeah.
Coach Burt. I knew there was somebody else
shoulder pads. Jacob had his shoulder pads.
Yes.
That was a badass team.
Oh,
that was a
so
tough team
fun.
of third graders.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that was fun.
I think my favorite sports moment or my favorite moment with Dad with sports would probably have to be, I'm not sure if they were both the same. There's two different times we went to a Mavericks game. One was we got the tickets through Easy Mart to go to that Suns Mavs game playoffs, and sat.
Listeners will know that you guys went to that game.
Yeah, we were
talking about how big Steve Nash was,
sitting damn near courtside. That was one of the coolest experiences. But I think it was a different game we went to when we saw the Mavs play the Spurs in the playoffs. And the seats weren't as good, but we saw it. The Mavs
That
won.
would be a different game.
Yes, it would. And the Mavs won the game. And then it was just the experience in general was really fun. It was like one of those times where Dad got 2 tickets and he was going to turn it down because he was like, oh, well, I don't know what to do with 2 tickets. And then we both just on a Tuesday night, Dad was like, you're going to have to go to school the next day, but we can do it if you want to do it. And we were like,
and we did it.
And so we did it. We went, and then the Mavericks won. It's a huge playoff game. And then after the game, we're like in the parking garage going to get our car, and everybody's honking their horns and yelling like "Go Mavs!" And it was so cool. And it was just like, it was a moment. It was so fun. Like I was trying to think of a sports moment. I remember leaving that game and just all the Mavs fans were going wild, and I was like, this is awesome. This is a Tuesday night. I didn't think this was even possible. I did go to school the next day, and I was tired as hell. I don't know how Dad did work because I slept on the ride home. Dad drove the whole way back, but
if you're gonna play, you got to pay. It's just the way it is. So
we went probably.
Okay, but I get to answer too.
All right, okay. Let's go from the other
question too. I would say, just in general, the teams you talked about, LJ, in general, those were so fun. Coaching those teams, and I do kind of remember that the quarterback just has to touch the ball. That's all, and you get that TD. The other one, so with Kevin was, and you mentioned it. We emailed some back and forth when he hit 8 threes in that game, and Kevin was the round mound of rebound at the time. I mean, it looked like he had eaten a basketball.
Well, or the other nickname was the microwave. Shout out to Rick Huntsey.
Yeah, Rick Huntsey. That was Rick Huntsey's team.
But the round microwave.
But you were just in fuego.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. Just jacking them up, knocking them down. Those were two of my most fond memories. And I know Kelly played softball. She played girls softball, and I do remember some of those games, and she was really good at it.
I actually just saw a picture of that in your desk right there in that drawer. There's a picture of it.
Yeah.
I just saw it the other day when I was in.
Awesome.
Yeah. But it's here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good times.
One of the things too, Kevin and I were kind of talking about Father's Day, and one of the things we mentioned was one of the coolest things was playing catch, waiting for the bus every morning.
Oh God, yes.
Busting out that football every morning.
Waiting on 565 to come pick us up.
Oh yeah.
565. That was the bus. Yeah.
Kevin and Daniel fighting over every catch. It was good times. It was good times.
There's been some good times back in the day, man. And now,
Let's never forget those.
And that's what's cool about the pod and doing this is it's a way for us to all just get together and talk. And the fact that maybe even one person will listen to us, we really appreciate anyone out there. It's fun for us just to get together and shoot the shit and talk about things, man. I love it.
Reminisce a little every now and then.
We're right on about 6 months of just doing this awesome thing where we just get to hang out with each other every week. So
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Well, so speaking of doing stuff with Dad, I actually did go back to the playlist that LJ made way back in the day, the road tripping with Dad. Still a badass playlist, but that's not
it's a great playlist.
That's not what I'm going with what we're listening to, but that is a badass playlist that I did listen to this past week. But
I may just have to put that playlist up.
Oh, it's good. It's good, man. It's good. It's good jamming.
Okay.
We alluded to it earlier, but news broke on Friday morning that Kawhi Leonard had grown uncomfortable with the Spurs and that he wanted to be traded. And I found it interesting because it was said before, Woj from ESPN, if you know what a Woj bomb is, but he's like the Schefter of NBA. And he tweeted out, I think like 2 weeks ago, that Popovich and the GM are planning to meet with Kawhi Leonard to try to see what they can do to assess the situation and if they can figure out whatever's been going wrong. And then this comes out Friday, and apparently he has not met with them, and he's decided that he just doesn't trust the organization. He doesn't trust them for how he got played. He doesn't trust the way they kind of talked about him before or why he was not playing. All this stuff's not coming from Kawhi Leonard, so he's clean.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's just odd. And now Woj is saying that Kawhi Leonard has asked for a trade and he prefers to go to L.A. Well, I would like you to trade me to a job in L.A., please.
Yeah, but now he's from that area,
yes, he's
right?
from. He went to San Diego State. He's from the near L.A. area. He wants to go to L.A. He says he prefers the Lakers, but he's open to the Clippers, and both are willing to make an offer. I'm sure they will, because why wouldn't you? New York is his third option, which is odd to me. I didn't realize in New York, but I think the uncle that has now become his agent or whatever is from New York.
That's also, you were talking about before that it was about building a brand for him, and that was a lot of the reason that it seemed that he might be sitting out. It's a lot easier to build a brand in New York than almost anywhere else.
And that's interesting to me, and we might touch on it more, but I'll get to it now. But he wants to build a brand, and I get that. Like, that's the whole NBA, and they want to do that, and everybody does. But Kawhi Leonard, it's not like – I don't feel like maybe we'll learn more, but I don't feel like the Spurs told him to be quiet the first 5 years he was there. No. I think that's who he is. He's emotionless on the court. He seemed like the ideal Spur. It seemed perfect. But
what makes you think that they didn't tell him that, though? Why do you think that they didn't?
Why would I mean? There's no. Well, okay. So, that's interesting. I was going to say there's no prior history to them being like that towards players, but I think Tim Duncan. They got lucky with Tim Duncan. They got the perfect superstar. It doesn't get much. But better
then I think they might have ended up. It's possible they ended up with the Spurs way, and now if you don't follow it, then you're not on Pop's.
For those last year, LaMarcus Aldridge demanded a trade last year after only being there for a year. He said that he wanted to be traded from the Spurs, and they had to sit down with GM and Popovich, and they talked with him, and he had a good year this past year. And I don't know if they devised an offensive plan where he would be more of an option, or if he also signed extensions, so maybe they just paid him more money. I don't know. But it is interesting to note that the past 2 years, the two best players on the Spurs have asked for a trade, noting that they're uncomfortable with the organization. There's something there, at least a little bit, and LJ's kind of tiptoeing around that. And I don't know. It seems like, and I think Dad was with me for the most part, Kawhi Leonard is what we think he is. He's kind of a quiet guy. He doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't do press conferences. But maybe
that was the way he acted in college, right? I mean,
he wasn't a star in college until all of a sudden he kind of blew up on the scene, and he still wasn't a star. He was like, this guy's pretty good. And then he was a late bloomer. He got drafted a little late in the NBA. And
how long has he been in the NBA now?
I think he's been in there.
He's only 26.
1 year longer than,
didn't he?
I'd say a 26-year-old LJ is very different than a 21-year-old LJ.
Yeah.
That's a big
True.
And he's also blossomed into, I do think it does hit you all of a sudden, you realize, because he had the finals that they won when they beat the Heat. He legitimately outplayed LeBron James. I mean, he went toe to toe. He guarded LeBron and scored on LeBron on both ends. And he did end up getting third place votes for the MVP a year ago, but still, it seemed like Kawhi Leonard wasn't getting the love he deserves. He's probably right. There's LeBron and KD are 1 and 2. And then Leonard's right, especially in today's game with wings, Dad. I mean, Leonard's right there with guys you would love to have.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's in the top 5 best players in the NBA.
And LJ's got a point. If brand is what he wants to do, and the 3 places he pointed out were LA, or New York, well, that's
or Boston, right? You were starting to mention Boston, which is also a huge market.
He didn't mention Boston.
Okay.
He didn't mention Boston as much as Boston's interested in him, and they probably have the best package to offer. Which they would probably offer, Dad. They'd probably offer. I don't know. Is Jason Tatum untouchable to you?
Yes, Tatum's untouchable. I think
for Kawhi Leonard.
Yes, I think Jason.
Really,
Tatum
Kawhi Leonard, but we know Kawhi Leonard is what he is, don't we?
I'm just saying he has an injury. We don't know how bad the injury is.
True.
Jason Tatum is untouchable if I'm Boston. Now the other guy's not smart.
Jaylen Brown's the one that's getting circled around.
Jaylen Brown, and I think Jaylen Brown could be an amazing player. I think he has not finished. His game is still going to get better.
As we mentioned a few weeks ago, the Celtics have good problems.
Oh, they have great. Boston is the team to be reckoned with coming up. In my learned opinion. their offer would consist somewhere of Jaylen Brown, probably their first pick this year, which is I think around 19 or 20, and then they have the Grizzlies' first pick next year, which is likely a high lottery pick, and Jaylen Brown. So that and maybe they throw in a Gordon Hayward too, which Kawhi Leonard is one of, like we just mentioned, maybe the 3rd best player in the NBA. And a LeBron stopper, which is what the Celtics have problems with. That's intriguing. I think the Celtics were to somehow pull that off. That would be intriguing on that roster. But I wanted to – why are we – if you're the Spurs, though, are you really willing to trade him? Like, why trade a star player? Depends on what you get. Depends on what you get.
Also, if Kawhi didn't want to be there, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah. He's not going to give you his all.
He's still under contract for another year, and he says he wants to be traded. I look back at when we've traded, when an organization has traded a star player, and for the most part, you end up getting 70 cents on the dollar, and you end up just getting role players, like really good role players. But when if you're trading a star player, you're rebuilding, and really good role players don't help a rebuilding team, as we mentioned, until they start this new tournament where you can win the first pick.
Right.
But for now, you kind of need to bottom out. Option. You don't need really good role players. You either need, you need stars or you need to suck. And I just look back at like Kyrie, the Cavs trading Kyrie. They should have just kept him for a year and tried to go with it and basically let him leave. Because out of that trade, they got back Isaiah Thomas and James Crowder. Crowder.
But I think LJ's onto something, Kevin. I mean, you want a player that wants to play for your team. And it makes a difference. And if if Kyrie Irving didn't really want to play for Cleveland, I mean, I guess he'd have been still good. It makes a difference. I want a player that wants to play on my team.
I just think you try to, like what the Spurs did with LaMarcus Aldridge. You try to just keep him on the roster and let's work it out. Maybe over a year, Kawhi Leonard goes, okay, because the Spurs they're the only team that can offer him the Supermax, which will end up, through the course of the contract, it'll end up making him about $25 million more dollars over the course of the contract. I know but what's people like to throw out, yeah, people like to throw out money's money. They make so much, but $25 million does speak to you. I mean, you can't just
you can't ignore
$25 million.
But you can also make that money back by being in a better market, shining more. And then I think
and if he wants to build his brand, right now he doesn't have a brand. He's saying,
and I don't think think if that's his goal, then leaving San Antonio is not necessarily as smart as he thinks it is, because I think you can build a brand in Texas. Those people are pretty proud of Texas.
Yeah, they love. Yeah,
but I would say that
and Texas is tax free state.
Yeah, but I would say that if you're not into being on the team, then especially a coach driven team like the Spurs are, I think there are only like 4 or 5 coach driven teams in the league really anymore. And and so if you're on one of those teams, you got to be a part of the team, or we don't want you anymore. That's more important than being a superstar.
That's an excellent point. That is a coach-driven team, and LJ, that is a very excellent point. I agree.
It really is.
Thank you.
And it's funny because, Brad Stevens is kind of he gets a lot of love at the Celtics, but he makes a point in every single press conference to almost try to talk about what he did wrong and talk about his players, because he wants it, because I think he sees what you see, LJ. He sees I need this. I can be the smartest I can be, but I need the stars to compete. Yeah. It's just interesting to me. I think the big thing about it, Dad, to me, is I don't think Popovich is hanging around a lot longer. I've heard that he's going to be a part of the 2020 Olympics. I think he's either coaching or a part of coaching, and then after that, I think he's done. And I think it's getting close to his time. The only reason he would stay, the only reason I think he would keep up for another 4 or 5 years is if all of a sudden the Spurs had a chance at being great the next 4, like if LeBron or somebody chose to go there. But
which they're
Kawhi Leonard
right?
sees that maybe Popovich, they're going to go for it. But now that Kawhi wants out, I mean, Popovich isn't completely sold in being there for the next 5 years, which I understand. Like Dad said, he's I think ready to be done. He just doesn't want to leave if he has a star like Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So if Kawhi gets traded, I think they see that, and there's something wrong with management and the star players there in San Antonio.
Can I ask a little bit of an off the wall basketball question?
Oh,
shoot.
Have we talked about basketball jersey numbers?
No, we haven't.
A little while.
Okay. I thought basketball jersey numbers used to always 55 was the biggest number you could have, and that was because when a ref called a foul, he would be like foul 2-1 or foul 5-5.
So he's doing his hand.
He had to be able to sign the number with one hand, and I'm telling you, there was a time that all basketball numbers were 55 or less. And now you see, I remember with Rodman was one of the first ones that started. He was like 91 or whatever. But is there anything to that? Basketball numbers used to be.
I was curious. I thought I would ask you. I thought maybe you would know. But since I've been watching the NBA, that's not been a rule. I knew that as a rule because back in PGYA and every other.
You remember
every
it
other
then,
time?
Kevin.
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely remember you had to choose a number where it's
55 or less. Yeah.
And I just noticed in basketball it wasn't the case. You'd see a random 77 or like Dennis Rodman with the 91. I don't know if I think that might just be an NBA thing. They don't do that rule. I'm not really sure, but I do think that's still a rule in college and
maybe in high school.
So
I'll say pay more attention to college.
It looks like
you know who I should ask. I should ask my boy Jardy. Jardy would know.
Jardy, let us know.
Reffing.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the best NBA players by number article on apparently Mitchell and Moss. I think it is. We'll post it, but it's really interesting. First off, because it's got just a lot of like really cool players. But a lot of players from like the 40s were like, say, I just saw one where it was like his number is 60.
So I think maybe the NBA just
65.
Maybe
the NBA's never adhered to it.
Yeah, and I'll say that it looks like most numbers between 0 and 55 are taken. Most numbers outside of that range are not taken, and I would probably assume that maybe that does mean like in college your numbers are limited or whatever, and then in the pros you can be whatever. Most people just don't change because they've built their brand or whatever. But you've also got a lot of people like, 28, 29, those are obviously not showable on one hand. Meta World Peace is 37. It's an awesome name. Anyway, but it doesn't.
Shout out to Ron Artest.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you happen to hear that? All right, one more little discourse is that, and Kevin, you may have listened to it, but Bill Simmons' deal with Charles Oakley.
Yeah, of course.
He mentions, tough players, and he mentions. He
says Ron Artest like one of the first names.
Ron Artest was tough and a little crazy. I mean,
did you know?
You never knew.
There's not really. It's not really like a conspiracy. It's like a known thing. At halftime, he eventually admitted to it. He used to drink mixers at halftime. Like he had a bottle of liquor in his locker.
Really?
Yeah, he was a big Hennessy or liquor guy. And
at halftime,
Hennessy or whiskey, and he would have it in his locker room. And the dude,
so he come in the club smell like Hennessy and booty.
Speaking of Hennessy, real quick, did y'all see the Warriors parade? Do you remember Jordan Bell, Dad, the guy that set?
Well, I saw him partying with his shirt off, and Well,
to us, he was known as the guy that instead of setting a screen, he blocks like a left tackle.
Yeah.
But so he kept doing this thing. He was drinking Hennessy on the parade. He was obviously having a good time, and he had a cup in his hand at all times, and he was having a good time. And then about like halfway through, someone like yelled out to him, and he points to his cup. He was wearing those champagne goggles the whole time, just because he's Jordan Bell and he's having a great time. But someone pointed to him and yelled at him, and he pointed to his cup and said, "We don't have any more Hennessy left." And a fan literally came up and threw him a bottle of Hennessy, a full bottle, and they started pouring it up on the parade and drinking it in front of everybody.
Have you ever tasted Hennessy?
Yes, I actually am not a fan.
I'm not a fan.
And he also had an interview, and they asked him about his champagne goggles and why he's still wearing them when they're not doing the spray and champagne over. And he goes, "I don't know. I'm off that hand." And that's, I guess, a way of saying Hennessy. And then now he's got a sponsorship. He posted a picture on Instagram yesterday of Hennessy gave him like 8 bottles and sent it to his home. And he posted and was like, "Shout out to Hennessy for the hookup. Y'all always keep me on point."
Well, now we're giving him a big shout out. So
dude just had a hell of a week. But
yes.
Hey, back to this website I found. I just want you guys to know this is actually kind of cool. There are a lot of people there are a lot of numbers that have never had a player on, but there's also a handful of players that are on 2 different numbers. Like there's some guy who was number 23 and number 45, and he was the best of both of those numbers.
The best maybe ever. Yeah.
He wasn't the best of 45. I mean,
who was the best?
I guess I
don't
know all the 40. Yeah, I don't know all the 45.
That's the point. Is he was probably the best number 45 to ever play.
What number does Donovan Mitchell wear? Is he 45? I can't remember. He might be creeping up. Anyway, go ahead, LJ.
Anyway, come on with your point, Al.
Well, I just thought it was cool. Like Dennis Rodman's on there twice. Meta World Peace is on there twice. But Scott Pollard is on there twice because he's finding his way into jerseys that nobody else has ever worn. Number 62, one person's ever worn, and number 66, no one's ever worn. So That's totally cool. I think if I were in the NBA, I'd change numbers every year to hit all of these player slots.
Is my boy number 77? Can you see number 77?
Number 77 is Vladimir Radmanovich. Yep.
There we go. Yep. That's the only guy I can ever remember wearing that jersey. Anyway, we got way down into a path.
We're in the weeds here, but
so I think I have a theory on why players are leaving and why these players have kind of got all the power here recently.
Tell me about it.
So I think it started, and this is obvious. I'm not breaking ground with this, but I think it started with LeBron and the decision he did on ESPN in 2010, and him partnering up with Bosch and Wade to go to Miami.
Other basketball players might have noticed that.
Yeah, well, I think they might have seen that maybe, and. So people went, oh, wow, hey, that's cool. He teamed up with his friends and also really good basketball players to go make a really good team and win championships. And it goes back to what LJ said. If all you're going to look at is how many rings I have, then I'm going to go play with the best damn players out there and try to get as many rings.
And winning rings makes you more money, by the way. You get more exposure, more advertising. You get to build your brand.
Yeah, you're playing in the finals.
And also just playoff bonuses too, right?
Yeah,
it's straight more money. They actually just give you more money.
More money. It's just all good.
More money.
Mm-hmm. But what I think really did it was when LeBron went back to Cleveland and he did the one, so they already saw teaming up with people, but when he went back to Cleveland, he did the 1-and-1 contracts where he basically signs a 1-year deal with a player option and then he can opt out. So at that point, he's putting himself in the power seat and he's saying, anytime Cleveland doesn't do something I like, or they don't seem like they're really trying to win and paying the luxury tax, I can opt out and I can leave at any point. And players were like, whoa, LeBron is the owner of the team. He controls what they do because he's so valuable. And where it really boils down to is it was interesting to me as I thought about this. When I was in high school and middle school and throughout growing up, NBA 2K started getting big. And it was just like what I used to do on Madden, but when 2K got big, you start playing it and you start doing the associations and you want to build a really good team. Yeah. And when LeBron left to Miami, you started it was the first time I actually started looking at contracts. Even at a young age, my freshman year, I started actually looking at contracts and hard cap and bird rights and all this stuff. And so these guys are probably Kawhi Leonard's 26, so he's 2 years older than me. He's probably playing 2K. And he was doing the same thing. And so they used to mess around on the game and go, what if we all have the same contract in at the same time? We could all go and play. And then they were like, this isn't just a game. We can do this in real life. This is an actual possibility.
So you think they got the idea from NBA 2K?
They got the idea. No, they always did it on 2K. Then how they used to do, what they used to do on the game for fun became a reality when they saw LeBron actually do it. LeBron was the only person that actually had the balls to take the step and go, I'm betting on me, and I'm doing these 1-year contracts.
Well, and betting on him not to get hurt. He's given up security for a long-term contract.
And Durant has followed his footsteps exactly. He's signing 1-and-1 deals back and forth. And these players just realize, I have a lot more power than I think I do. And if you say a year later, look at Kawhi, and Bill Simmons is now trying to coin the term pre-agency. And it's what these guys have figured out. If I have 1 year on my deal, like LJ mentioned before, if I have 1 year and I say, I'm not going to sign an extension here, you can keep me if you want, but I'm leaving after this year, then you can get traded. You'll get your deal, because if you're the Spurs, like LJ said, if you're the Spurs, why do I keep, even if I don't quite get back the exact return on investment, why would I keep you if I know you're gone? At least I can get 3 young guys that maybe turn into a star or maybe stay. And I just think between they've always been doing the math, and NBA Trade Machine on ESPN and 2K, and they've learned the math. And then LeBron just showed them it's not just like a joke. It's not just a dream and a pipe dream. We can actually call each other up at All-Star break and go, let's go play for LA.
That's the real deal. Huh.
Well, they're like, do y'all watch Game of Thrones, right? I mean,
of course.
LG?
Yeah.
They're sellswords. They're like Braun, they're like, they're sellswords. They're just selling their services to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start calling them sellswords.
It is interesting.
Totally into that.
It is interesting how it's become how they've become a brand, like how that's become a thing now. That wasn't really, I know Michael Jordan obviously had a brand, but that wasn't. I don't feel like that was a thing back in the day. Like, oh, I want to build a brand for myself. You just wanted to be as good a basketball player as possible, win championships, and the brand came.
I don't think he knew that was a possibility.
Yeah, they didn't realize like the Magic Johnson mogul where you could own a team later. And
it's interesting because I think that like it's something we'll probably talk about later. I think that rivalries as far as sports go are dying, and that's why you maybe have something like Landon Donovan saying root for Mexico.
Yeah.
Is because it's all about an individual
I want to talk about
sport.
that.
Let's talk about it and when we get to it. But I just wanted to say that I think that that's kind of the thing that's happening is that we're rooting for individuals instead of teams now in most of the major sports in America. And so I
think you're onto something
it's
there.
really interesting.
You are, because as soon as LeBron went to the Heat, all you heard was, oh, I was never a Cavs fan. I was a LeBron fan.
Exactly.
And it's gone even further. Like now it's Kobe fans, not Laker fans. Because when the Lakers started sucking.
Football too, because if Peyton Manning goes to the Broncos, the Broncos just got a lot of new fans. And
okay, I want to get to the World Cup because you brought up some soccer. But real quick, is it good, bad, or indifferent for the league that stars are moving more? At least in the NBA.
I don't
It generates discussion about the league, which they like. It gets them.
We're talking about the NBA 12 months out of the year now.
But okay, so here's the thing about that though is I think this is the trap the NFL fell into is your question should be, do we cater to the fans of tomorrow or do we cater to the fans of the last 20 years? And I think you've got to ride that fence, because I think if you are trying to get people that are so excited about the NBA that they're willing to talk about what LeBron does 6 months before the season starts, those are the people that are already fans, but you're not bringing in the new fans. And I think that's where like the NFL Network, that's why we're seeing the decline, is because we've really only tried to cultivate this idea of the fans we've already got are the fans that we want. So I would say that it's not good for the league, because it's really hard for me as like a fringe fan of the NBA to get into it, because it's just whoever LeBron's team is going to play the Warriors. Like that's just what's going to happen next year.
I mean, you're right. I mean, you're probably right. That's a good bet.
I don't think of it like that, but I can see why I get that. You're right. Yeah.
So it depends on what your target is, and I think you're best off trying to cater to both relatively equally, but it seems like this only caters to the hardcore fans that are already in.
Well, so it's not like super teams are new. Dad, you know this. I mean, the Lakers, what we talked about before, in a couple pods before, but the Lakers had, 3 Hall of Famers on the same team at one time?
I mean,
the Bulls,
which Lakers are you talking about? Yeah,
and then the Bulls, Pippen and Michael were both Hall of Famers on the same. It's not like this is new.
Look at the old Boston Celtics. You had Kevin McHale, Larry Bird,
Havlicek, Dennis Johnson. I don't know if they're
Robert
all
Parrish,
Hall of Famers,
DJ. Anyway, but
I guess what I'm getting to is I don't think the super teams is new, but the real rivalries like Celtics and like still to this day, when you see the green Celtics going against the yellow Lakers, it feels like it means something. But it's like it's LeBron against the Warriors. It's not necessarily the Cavs versus the Warriors to me. Even though those two teams have played in the finals 4 years in a row, it doesn't feel like it's a team thing. And I think that's where LJ's getting to. Is like I'm going to be a Cowboys fan forever, no matter what. Mavericks fan, no matter what. Whether Dirk leaves or Romo's retired, it doesn't matter. Those are my teams. And and the younger fans today, if Steph Curry leaves the Warriors and goes to wherever, New York, then those fans become New York fans.
New York fans or whatever. Right.
It's just like the Cowboys fans or Celtics
creates
fans. I mean,
bandwagon fans, because like another thing is like back in the 70s, you got the major 3 markets or whatever, and then also your team. And so that's all you could really keep up with. But like if Steph Curry went to the Bucks in 76, nobody'd be able to keep up with them unless they were championship winners every year. So,
but jersey sales, I mean, if they keep moving, going back to is it good, bad, or not for the league, jersey sales are good. I mean, if LeBron goes to LA, that's more jerseys that you have to go buy now. I think it's good for the league.
I disagree.
I'm indifferent.
We've touched on enough NBA. I mean, that's why it's good for the league, LJ. Yeah, the NBA's over, and we've sat here and talked about it for 45 minutes.
I don't care about it still. Exactly. I care less about it now. If you give me 6 months, then like maybe I'll start caring about it. That's why it's bad for the NBA.
But me and Dad
I'm already tired of the offseason. I'm pissed at the offseason, and we just started.
Anyway,
that we still have to talk about this.
Okay, come on. There's other stuff I want to talk about. Let's go. Come on. All right. Are you ready for your Klosterman question? Your Klostion.
The Klostion for the day.
Here's the Klostion for the day. For reasons that cannot be explained, cats can suddenly read at a 12th grade level. They can't talk and they can't write, but they can read silently and comprehend the text. Many cats love this new skill because they now have something to do all day while they lay around the house. However, a few cats become depressed because reading forces them to realize the limitations of their existence, not to mention utter frustration of being unable to express themselves. This being the case, do you feel the average cat would enjoy Garfield, or would cats find the cartoon to be insulting caricature?
First off, I'm not.
So you're speaking from a cat's perspective.
I'm not completely sold that cats can't read. Cats. We kind of touched on this a second ago before we started recording. But cats are manipulative, and I'm not sure if they aren't reading already.
So how are cats manipulative?
I don't know if that. Well, so a meow. That cats don't meow to other cats.
Okay, yeah.
Because apparently
I hear meowing all the time.
Because apparently a cat they've recognized that babies cry and then babies get what they want or get attention. So then cats went, so if I meow this annoying sound, I will get the attention or get what I want. And they do. So they're manipulative. They get what they want. It's just like a cat. When they want you to pet them, then you're going to love on them and pet them. When they don't, then they'll claw you and bite at you.
Yep. That sounds right to me.
That's why there's man's best friends, and then cats are okay. They're not, at times they can be really good, but then they're cats also at times.
Cats are okay. I don't dislike cats. Cats are okay.
Cats are pointless.
I'm not going that far, but if we have to endorse one on Just Press Play, we're endorsing dogs here. In my opinion,
no doubt.
Yes. Okay. We're a dog podcast.
We're a dog podcast. Let's just set the record straight. Damn right.
But okay, so let's try to get this train back on the tracks.
The question is, this being the case that cats can read, do you feel like if you were do you feel the average cat would enjoy Garfield or would find the cartoon to be an insulting caricature?
Definitely, 100% insulting character. They would stick their nose up to it. They would hate it because they're like, oh, we're wasting.
I don't know. Okay, so they're reading at a 12th grade level, which is about 4 grades higher than Kevin reads at. And like, you still like
we're
comics.
on the same page. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and cat, if you got to remember, Garfield's kind of, he usually gets the better thoughts. He's the star of the series, and cats are the star of their world.
Yeah, like we just said. Yeah. They run at things.
Dilbert is like a caricature of office workers, and office workers are the only people that read Dilbert. So I think cats would love it. I think they would get that it's a comic because they're smarter than Kevin generally, and I think they would love it. I think my question in the world building though is like, do the big cats learn how to read too? Like, is this like lions and tigers are also reading books, or is it just house cats?
Oh. That's interesting. He doesn't really...
it really isn't clear. It just said cats can suddenly read.
We may have to have Chuck Klosterman on to specify this for us.
we may have to have Chuck on, but I will say I haven't seen just a lot of books in the wild, so I hadn't seen a cheetah be able to find book where you could find a domestic cat.
Okay, so here's the problem then now is we've got cheetahs moving into metropolitan areas to get to the public library. So...
that doesn't sound like a good idea.
Beyond what the question is, this might be a really terrifying world.
Yeah.
So these cats are, I'm just picturing cats just sitting at home reading all day while we're gone because they don't move. They sit in one spot all day. So they're just sitting there reading the whole day.
They lay around all the time and they're still as agile and as athletic as anything you'll ever see. And they can jump on a freaking top of a refrigerator.
Even a fat cat can do that.
Yeah,
it doesn't
even
have to be like a really cat.
I will say, just to jump back real quick, 1+2 I prefer dogs, but it is cool that cats can kind of take care of their bathroom needs on their own without you having to do anything.
Well, you still have to clean up after.
Yeah, but like at the middle of the night,
it's
you
one
don't get
place.
woken up. Yeah, you know where you have to clean up when you need to, probably. But
you're not going to step in it with your sock. You're walking around in your socks, and all of a sudden you step on a wet spot, and that's the worst. Oh, that's the worst.
The Jaeger cat breadsticks is trained to pee and poop in a toilet. So
like the cat off Meet the Parents,
like in Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget that cat's name.
I don't think the training is perfect. I think there are still some issues with the training.
The science isn't completely done. We might have to ask him about that coming up in a week.
Yeah, we'll have to ask. We'll all be together soon. So.
Well, okay, but all right, I'm going to answer the question.
LJ says yes, he says they would like it, they would enjoy it.
I say they don't think it's a caricature.
I think they would see the humor in it. They would see the coolness of Garfield. They would like it. I mean, is it somewhat of a caricature? Yes, but I think they would kind of get it. They'd be like, they've almost got it right. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's how a cat would be.
Does Garfield? Is he the smart one in the show? Like, is he kind of?
He's a smart, hateful, sarcastic cat.
Yeah,
which sounds like a cat.
Sounds like a cat.
Well, then I think cats would enjoy that. Yeah, I think I agree. Before I was saying no, they would hate it, but I think now they're like, yeah, this cat is the smarter, sarcastic asshole like I am.
Now, what I think they will think, I think they'll hate like the posters that have Garfield and say like Mondays or something, you know, like
the memes of
those
Garfield.
Will probably
they won't like that.
Yeah, essentially like the office worker version of like I've got Garfield on my desk saying lasagna's great, Mondays suck, and like, I don't like. I like the intellectual part of Garfield, not the Monday hating part of Garfield.
Yes, I'm with LJ. What he said,
I can get behind that. All right. So, guys, I have an update. Speaking of Klostions, I have an update. We talked about the other week how I was on the record saying, even though knowing in 25 years or 20 years, whatever it was, that I was in a room filled with Canadian Football League stuff and all this, that today I wouldn't spend time watching CFL if it was on. Well, 2 nights ago, I was flipping through the channels and the CFL is on ESPN2, and I stopped and watched it for 30 minutes, confused as hell, but I kept watching it because I was like, let me check this out. I don't know if I'm deprived of football or if maybe what we were talking about kind of hit me, but I just sat there and watched it. And after
kind of sunk in a little bit.
After 30 minutes, I was like, wow, I lied. To LJ and Dad because I'm sitting here watching the CFL and I didn't know they were throwing red flags. I didn't know why they were doing it. They were punting all the time. Like apparently they punt with no time left. It's confusing, but I sat there and watched it all. I just kept watching. So I lied
gleefully.
Yeah. Well, I was
Were you muttering?
Were you muttering
instead?
That
takes time.
My initial thought was, after I realized I've been sitting here watching it through 2 different commercial breaks I've stuck through, I realized I was like, wait a minute, how long in the future was that caution? Because I might be there now.
This is the start.
Yeah.
This is the start.
But I wasn't muttering yet. The only time I muttered was when it was 30 minutes in. I was like, why am I still watching this? I'm not really getting the point of this. But
that's the start. So. Next week, you'll watch about an hour.
It'll be 90 minutes.
In about a year, you'll start doing research.
And I'll be a Buffalo Tiger Cat fan before long. So or it's not Buffalo. They're the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That's what they are.
You'll write the CFL book. That's what you'll do.
I'll be the Bill Simmons of the CFL coming up.
That's right.
Just wait.
You know,
hey, that spot's open. That spot's open right
saying,
now.
Yeah,
it's available.
There's not people rushing to get that. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Let's get on to the World Cup. So the World Cup did start.
Yeah.
And so USA is not in it. They're not even often a competitor in it. Like you don't expect them to win it.
Well, they did well 4 years ago, but
but you still don't. When you go into it, you're like, I hope USA competes. So as a fan,
out of the group stage. Yeah.
But it really sucks not having a minute, like not having a team to root for the casual soccer fan. For you like watching Spain style. So like you can still watch that.
The other thing is like, I don't have to like, I'm excited that I don't have to know that the disappointment's coming. Like we already had it, so I can just watch soccer. But
what is it really even disappointment? Like you're just, I guess it was. You're right. Because you're still.
I mean, you get hyped about it because they win like 2 games, and you're like, oh god, USA might have a shot, but you don't want to say it too loud because it'll jinx it. And then they lose because of course they're going to.
Yeah.
So just Give me the games that are the good teams, and I'll enjoy watching.
How mad do you think? So Fox made that big purchase to get the World Cup. Man. How mad do you think they were when USA didn't make it? We talked about that the other day at your house. Brock brought that up, I think, or Davey, one of them. But, I mean, that's just got to be a deal breaker. Like, God dang.
I'd be so upset.
Man, but we got to get to Landon Donovan because I want to talk about that.
Since we're on USA, let's go. So Landon Donovan I'm glad that y'all were intrigued by this because I there was all of it really intrigued me. But so he tweeted out yesterday in an ad with Wells Fargo, and it was like, if you're on Twitter, it goes promoted, so you don't have to follow him to see it. It just comes up. And it was him saying, I forget exactly what it was, but it was him saying like, root for your brothers for the South since we don't have USA in it, blah, 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 blah. And then he got called out, or not called out, but he just got questioned by a former USA captain saying, really?
He got called out by a lot of people of Mexican-American descent, which was interesting.
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so he's saying, yes, I know we're rivals, Mexico and the United States, but we're not in it. Let's root for our brothers from the South. Let's root for Mexico. And it appeared to me that I read about 3 or 4 tweets back with Hispanic surnames that were saying there are blood rivals and we will not root for them.
Well, yeah,
and I don't get that. I mean, I get it. Thought nothing.
Wait, you don't get Landon Donovan's side, or you don't get their side?
I don't get their side because I'm telling you,
you're
no. Because listen to me. I mean, what we're talking about is rooting for a rival, right? Or pulling for a rival. And let me tell you what, I am an Arkansas Razorback fan.
Oh, you're about to shock me.
I bleed Cardinal red. They play in the SEC West, which I think is probably the most brutal conference in college football anyway. And with the possible exception of Alabama, I always root for whoever comes out of the SEC West because I think that makes me look good as an Arkansas fan because I struggled against these guys.
But it's different.
That's such
and
a
if they win
position.
the whole thing, it just makes me look better. Wouldn't you rather lose in the NCAA tournament in the NCAA tournament? If you lose in the second round to North Carolina or Virginia, wouldn't you rather them win it all? I'm rooting for the team
if I'm Arkansas
to win it
and
all.
I lose North Carolina, yes, I'm rooting for North Carolina. But if I'm Arkansas and Texas is in the championship, I'm not rooting for Texas because they're close to me.
LSU.
It depends on who they're playing. If Texas is playing North Carolina, who I like, I'm probably going to root for North Carolina. If they're playing Duke, who I like, I'm probably rooting for Duke. If Texas is playing San Diego State, who I'm indifferent to, I'm rooting for Texas. Okay? All right?
Well, I think...
Do you hear me?
Do you hear me? I'm with you a little bit. I do hear you. But I think... Go ahead, LJ.
If the Raiders needed help to buy a new stadium in Oakland, I love this rivalry. I would have probably put money towards it. But if they were saying the deal is if we win a playoff game, then we won't leave Oakland, then I would just be wishing them well in Las Vegas because I don't want them to ever win a game. I don't know how
I could never root for
a true rival.
Here's where we get a little bit different is what Dad's talking about. I think I have an answer for you, Dad.
Okay.
College is different because your conference prestige matters. If the SEC is built up as this amazing conference, then you can go to the playoffs with 2 losses or whatever.
I have a comment back. Bring it, though. Yes.
But as a Cowboy fan, I will never, ever, ever root for the Redskins, Giants, or Eagles. I want them to lose every single time.
SEC West team, Alabama isn't easy. I can root for the others. NFC East, Philly, Washington suck. I can't stand them. I want them to lose.
So college is a little different.
I do get that.
So this is the part in the podcast where I flash back to our first episode where we're talking about who we want to win the Super Bowl. Okay. Just letting you guys know.
Who do we choose?
Who did we say? Do you remember?
I believe we all said that we wanted the Eagles to win, and we all said that there's no way it happens. I believe that's what happened.
Footage not found.
I don't know.
That's possible. That's possible. I rooted for Philly a little bit.
So here's where I put that flashback. You fair weather.
I hope you're wrong.
He was.
It's easier for me in college than professional sports. Professional sports, I just don't like Washington. I'm not a Philly fan because I just think they've been evil to the Cowboys, and it's hard for me to root for them. But I think an NFC East team that wins the Super Bowl makes the Cowboys look better.
But who cares if they look better? You're looking better because your other rival is a champion.
You know what?
That's the worst.
Do y'all realize what us Americans just did? We took football and started talking about football. This is supposed to be a World Cup topic, and now we're talking about the NFC East and the SEC West. You can tell we're from the South, but
there is. So this is interesting. So looking this up, rooting for your rival.
Are you back on? Okay.
Do you know the rule of triadic? I don't know if I'm saying that. TRIADIC, triadic interaction. Do y'all know the rule of that? All right, you will when I say it. So
history lesson from Dad.
There's four maxims to this. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The friend of my friend is my friend. The enemy of my friend is my enemy. The friend of my enemy is my enemy. You get what I'm saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, so anybody playing the Raiders is my friend.
But Mexico is an enemy. They're just an enemy. They're not an enemy of an enemy.
Go Germany. I'm so sad.
Really, you're like the hell with Mexico. You're just the hell with Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not upset if they win.
I was kind of like,
I was kind of pumped about that. But speaking of, we haven't mentioned it, but Mexico upset Germany this morning.
The former champions.
The former champions. And I don't know if y'all saw this in Mexico City after their first goal, which took the lead. There was they measured a seismic wave, like an artificial earthquake due to the celebrations. I swear. I'll put it in our show notes. It was wild.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, I'm not like upset that they won, but I'm not rooting for them.
Well, and I'm not as hardcore into it. If I were more hardcore into the World Cup, then I think I would be very anti the idea of rooting for our... Because also rivalries are what makes sports fun for me. I love the idea that like whenever I'm having a really good day, it can be ruined because Josh Smith can text me a picture of Darren McFadden celebrating the 53-6 win that they had over the Broncos. Like that just easy, like pissing people off is what makes rivalries fun. And if you kill the rivalries by saying, we didn't make it, so root for Mexico, or, I'm a LeBron fan, not a Cleveland fan, I think that like kills half of the fun of what makes sports exciting for me.
Is what makes it fun. Yeah, there's a lot about it.
All right, I'm just saying what Landon Donovan did, I'm okay with. I hear what you're saying. Well, LJ wants the Raiders to go 0-16 every year.
Every year.
Here's my issue with it was that it wasn't that he was rooting for Mexico as his brothers to the South because he wanted to. He got paid to do it.
He was going to get paid anyway to do a commercial for Wells Fargo.
Landon Donovan, the World Cup's coming up. You're on contract. Post something. And he was like, okay, so the team that I guess I'd root for is Mexico because, whatever. So I don't think he was necessarily paid to have that opinion. He was just paid to say it.
The other note that I had from the World Cup, and if y'all have something, we'll touch it. But I think defending a penalty kick is the hardest thing to do in all of sports. And I don't think there's a question. I don't even like. I look at some of American sports and I go, man, it sucks when a big man. When you see like Zaza Pachulia get switched out on Kyrie Irving, that's tough. When you see a big man switch on a guard, or when you see a corner having to guard a receiver when there's like a ton of time and there's no like the quarterback has all the time in the world. That's hard. But a penalty kick, man,
it's tough. Yeah,
I'd say. The only thing worse would be a shootout. Kick. The goal is still just as wide, but now you're closer and there's no wall of people in front of you or anything like that. Yeah, it's like what Ronaldo did in that penalty kick where that curve was perfect and hit the corner of the corner of the net.
Okay.
Amazing. There's no way you can defend that.
Is it not a penalty kick? The little free kicks when it's just him versus the goalie?
Well, they're both penalty kicks, but like so what Ronaldo did in this
because that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was also a penalty kick where he got over the wall of people. Whereas a shootout is always just there's like an in the box penalty kick and an outside of the box penalty kick.
Okay, well, so that shows my knowledge of the game. I didn't realize they were the same thing.
Okay,
but
so yeah,
what Ronaldo did in that penalty kick was amazing. The one where he bent it, but I'm talking about the first goal where Ronaldo it's just him and the goalie.
Yeah,
and,
no, I never want to be the goalie in that situation.
I feel like all you're doing as a goalie, you have a huge net to defend. And you're guessing, are you not? I mean, I guess you can kind of
you study
read
these
them
players.
a little bit.
Like that's one of the things that like if you're in the pro soccer, if you're in the World Cup, you've studied. Like this is not just like a day job for you or whatever. Like this is what you do. So like where Ronaldo likes to go, like what kind of curve he likes to have, but like it's still at best, like a 70% guess. So,
well, interestingly, so I looked up just Ronaldo because I was like, I wonder how good maybe the best player in the world is at these. And he is out of 123 of just him versus the goalie, those little, the inside the box PKs. Out of 123 attempts, he's made 104. So he's pretty efficient.
It's pretty salty, I would guess.
But that's good. But that's not even like the success rate for penalty kicks inside the box in general runs between 76% and 80% in most leagues.
Well, he's
in general,
90.
it's just
he's 93% or something.
Huge but I'm just saying, in general, it's just that's the hardest thing in the world to defend. I mean, you just got that huge goal.
So I have a soccer question.
All right.
So
well, I don't know if we'll have the answer, but we'll try.
When you said bend him, it made me think about it. So bend him like Beckham, right? David Beckham, who's better looking, Ronaldo or David Beckham?
That's not a soccer question.
They're both soccer players.
I was ready to explain what offsides meant.
No. Yeah.
I was getting ready for him to say, like, what does the +5 mean by the 90 when it seems like times should be up or something? Who's better looking?
I think Cristiano Ronaldo's a little bit better looking, but I do too.
I think Ronaldo should be. Men. He is. I'm just saying. I'm not. If I was into that, I mean, he is a stunningly attractive man. He is.
So we're touching on all the sports. We've done a little NBA, we've done a little World Cup, but Dad, you're the golf guy here between us. Right. At least you bring it up every week on your best or worst, depending on how you played that day. But first off, I just don't get the U.S. Open. Like, it makes the guys awful. And I don't see why. It seems like people really like that. The course is really tough, apparently. And after the cut, Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, Bubba Watson, a bunch of high profile players didn't even make the cut.
Right.
And I don't understand why that's a good thing. People seem to like, that's the course is so tough, but I want to see the best guys be the best.
Well, let me tell you what I know about it. And I talked to Herschel about it, who, is certainly a golf fiend, Papa. And so here's what you heard many of the golfers talk about. They lost the course. And I'd not heard that term before, but apparently that means that the greens, you mow the greens and you roll the greens. And by doing that, you make the greens extremely fast. As a matter of fact, I've heard the term, it's like putting on top of a refrigerator. So there's no feel to the grass. There's no contour. It's just like putting on concrete. Okay. So these golfers are used to hitting these targets on greens and they stick, or they have an area where the ball will stop and the greens just keep rolling. They're extremely fast. And briefly, what happened here was that in the morning players that went out, this is a golf tournament that is ruled by the USGA, U.S. Golf Association. Right. Most are ruled by the PGA, the Professional Golf Association. And you never hear this lost the course terminology with the PGA. You've heard it before with the USGA at Shinnecock in 2004. Was a very similar sentiment about the course. So
back to some history.
Yeah. So what happened was that, and if you looked at the tournament, the winners were +7. I think the leader was at +7 yesterday. I mean, mostly in a big time golf tournament, you're -10, you're -12.
I think Koepka ended up winning at like even or +2 or something.
Yeah. So I mean, that tells you how tough the course was.
But that's wild. Yeah. Normally it's like -13 or something.
The greens were so fast they were almost unplayable. You if you putted, the ball wouldn't stop. It's like putting on concrete. And they would put the pins. Think about this. I know you played a little golf, Kevin, LJ, maybe a little bit we did. I know you and I have once.
One time, yeah.
But so they would put the ball, they change where the cup is, right? And they would put the cup maybe on a downhill lie. So it's like if you putt and you miss, it's just going to keep going. Big. It's going to keep going. So
I think that happened to somebody major.
A long story short, Phil Mickelson on number 13, he putts and he misses, and the ball starts rolling downhill, and it's just rolling. And what he does is he kind of runs over there, and before the ball stops, he putts it again.
Yeah, like it's something I would do out on the golf course. Where like,
if you and I, Kevin, if you and I and LJ are playing, we might do that playfully with each other out on the golf course. You can't do that in a tournament. You just.
And it's clear. I don't watch a lot of golf, but I know I was like, whoa, what is
the penalty for doing that?
Okay, but here
2 strokes.
Thank you for asking. Yes, there is a penalty for doing that is 2 strokes. So the USGA has a penalty for striking a ball in motion, and it's 2 strokes. Now, whether Phil Mickelson knew that when he did it or not, to me, is irrelevant.
I'm sure he was.
I think the word is he didn't. He didn't realize what the penalty was, but he didn't give a damn. He was playing horribly. He didn't care.
Was that the hole that he went +6 on too?
I think he hit a 10. He scored 10 on this hole. I think it was a par 4. He shot a 10.
This is why that course is awesome.
Okay, so this is something I would do. Okay, that's something I would do.
Could maybe do pro golf. It's exciting.
But I think on this hole we would have shot a 20. Okay, that's how different it was. So you can do that when it's just your buddies. Mickelson shouldn't have done it. But here's the point of it is there's a rule that covers it. If you hit a ball in motion, it's a 2-stroke penalty.
You take the penalty, you deal with it.
You move on.
But so you still have to finish the hole then.
He did. When he hit the ball that was rolling, he hit it past the hole, he missed it, then he putted it in, made it, took his 10, he walks to the next tee box and he hits. And many people said there was another rule that if you have an egregious breach of golf etiquette, you can be disqualified. Well, you could argue that is an egregious breach of golf etiquette. Yeah. You could argue that.
Got the stupidest rules.
But they have, it's an honor game.
People probably called in, they do these call-in
But here's
rules
the point. What I understand is that Phil Mickelson called the head of the USGA, and he said, look, if I need to withdraw because I did that, I will do that. If you need me to do that, all you have to tell me. And what the leader of the USGA said is, look, there is a penalty on the books for hitting a ball in motion. It's a 2-stroke penalty. We assess that. That's the penalty. You're playing tomorrow. I agree with that. Should Mickelson have done that? Absolutely not. Can I understand why he did it? Hell yes, I understand. He was playing miserable. I think he threw up a +17 on the day, which he's probably never done in his life.
It was wild.
Which tells you the course must have been egregiously difficult.
Well, but I would say I think that's why maybe he should have done that, because I don't know. I haven't played a lot of golf, but I know that it's probably the hardest sport of all sports to play when you're on tilt. And ending a hole is worth it at any cost. If it's
at some point,
get out your damn wedge instead of your putter, then in that hole now. Well,
and if the only other precedent to this was John Daly, which y'all know John Daly.
Of course.
University of Arkansas graduate. I had B-Law with John. I had B-Law with John Daly. Yes,
I didn't know that. That's news.
I actually had B-Law with John Daly. And so John Daly did something similar where he putted a ball apparently, and it went past the hole, and he just got it and knocked it in the water. He's just like, F it.
Yeah.
But nobody had to ask him to withdraw.
Give me a cigarette and a Diet Coke. Screw
it. And an M&M. And nobody had to ask him to withdraw because he hit the ball in the water and walked off the course. He was done. And And I think Mickelson did the right thing. If he called the leader of the USGA and said, if I need to withdraw, tell me and I will withdraw. And the guy said, hey, there's a penalty on the books for exactly what you did. We assess the penalty. You keep playing. I'm good with that.
I saw a bunch of golf aficionados who were like, Mickelson should withdraw himself and he should apologize to the game. And this is ridiculous. He should never do this. This is disgracing golf.
So in my worst, those are the people I think I'm against. Yeah. Unless I learn something different. I'm like, there's a penalty on the books for exactly what he did. They assessed him the penalty. He moves on. He plays Sunday. That's it. End of story.
Those are the people.
No. But
those are the people that get mad at people that have a good time on a Friday night when they see them. They're not bothering you, but just the fact that they're having a good time, it bothers you. Those are the same people that get mad at you for. Yeah. I mean, he took the penalty. He offered to withdraw if that's what they want him to do, and he didn't. They told him it's fine. The game is going to be fine. He's not going to win. He lost a ton of money on that hole. I forgot what Darren Ravel tweeted out. He lost like $125,000 on that hole by how much he finished.
Yeah.
So, I think there are penalties in every sport, and if you commit those penalties, there is an agreed upon punishment, and so you take advantage of it when it's advantageous for you. And
we talked about it. Yeah,
we talked about it last week. I think yes. If you should take advantage of the rules to your advantage, you should take the rules to your advantage in any way you can. That's just trying to win.
If Julio Jones has you beat in the last play of the Super Bowl, you trip him. You know, like you do what you have to do to win the game.
You pull a Grayson Allen out and you just trip him.
If Phil Mickelson needed to just end that hole as quickly as possible, and
I think LJ has a point with that. Like, at some point in golf, you just need to get that damn hole out of the way and just move on to the next one.
If you're on 13 for another 10 minutes, 14 is going to be bad.
Hey, and I will tell you this. So Tammy and I have a rule. When we're playing golf, you cannot score double digits on a hole. 9 is the worst you can take. We're not writing down a 10 on anything. I don't care if you took 20, you're getting a 9. Okay, that's the worst score you could get.
Hey, so you're the golfer, Dad.
My high score is capped. So,
and I shot one of those this weekend, by the way, at 9.
So Dad, you're the golfer. I have a question for you.
All right.
You have two options. You choose which one you'd rather have. The U.S. Open is on the line. All you have to do is sink a 5-foot putt. Or the NBA Finals is on the line. All you have to do is sink a free throw. Which one would you rather do?
Good question.
That is a great question because I feel like I can beat both. I really do. I'm going to tell you what. There's a little more pressure on. I don't know. I'm taking the free throw.
There's a lot of pressure.
I'm taking the free throw because I'll tell you what. We used to always, how you shoot for teams? You always shoot for teams sometimes. I could make a free throw. I'm just telling you, I had confidence. I could step up and make a free throw. Well, so, I mean, it's close. It's close because a 5-foot putt, there's a little chicken still on the bone. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's a little meat on that bone.
Well, that was my thought. The reason I would do the free throw just because I'm not good at golf. But also with a golf, you never know the course you never know how the course is. A free throw is a free throw is a free throw is a free throw. It's always the same. It's going to be the same distance. The goal is going to to be up. But then again,
the grass isn't going a different way, Then
again, I guess you could have J.R. Smith who gets the rebound and dribbles it out. But I mean, who knows? But so you would go free throw.
I think I'd go free throw.
Yeah. Okay,
I'd go.
LJ. Whoa! What do you go with?
I go with the putt because first off, when was the last time any of you guys saw me shoot a basketball?
You were a better passer than a shooter. I'll say that.
And that was probably the last time I shot a basketball.
Okay.
6 years ago, maybe?
With that in mind, more people that I associate with every now and again watch basketball than watch golf. So if I'm going to be embarrassed on national television, I'm going to putt it away.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Good reasoning.
But I'll go ahead and start with what we're listening to. I listened to the new Nas album produced by Kanye. It has 2 songs on it that it's good. It's 7 songs again, which I guess
Kanye's busy.
Yeah, Kanye's been doing his thing. And then Jay-Z and Beyonce had to one-up him. They put out a surprise album last night. So they just had to be like, Kanye's doing too much work, so we got to do something. But it came out. The 2 songs that I really like on it are the last 2 songs. There's one called Everything, and then the one that follows is Adam and Eve, and they're really good. But the whole album, it's only 7 songs. Probably takes 20 minutes to listen to. Really good. Really cool. Loved it.
Cool.
LJ, what have you been listening to?
I mean, not a lot really. I've been
planning
on my grind, but I did find a new artist I kind of liked, Puma Blue. I've only heard like 3 songs by this group. I'm not sure, but I would say that like it's not for everybody, but it's like really good like audio wallpaper that you just kind of have on in the room, and it kind of fills out the space.
Some good writing music.
There he goes again.
I'm telling you, I live more for his description of what he listens to than what he's actually listening to. And I don't want to demean what he's listening to. He just is so good at how he describes it. All right, so what was it? Puma what?
Puma Blue.
Puma Blue. Okay.
Right, I got it down.
Moon Underwater is a cool song. I'll post a couple more for Dad to put in the playlist, but it's good stuff.
I really enjoyed Loudon Wainwright, by the way. I thought he was
good.
I thought
he's cool. Yeah.
I thought you might.
So, Dad, what's been in your ears lately?
All right, I do have 2.
The last thing before we leave this Father's Day. Let's hit Pops.
I'm going to give you 2. I usually don't do this, but I got a little bit on 3 Doors Down. Have y'all listened to any 3 Doors Down? Away from the Sun,
3 Doors Down.
Here Without You, When I'm Gone.
Have you listened to like the most influential band from 2003?
Whatever. I mean, I like it. And then the other one,
he's not making fun of you for who you're listening to, but just the way that you're like, have y'all ever heard of this band?
Okay, so the answer is yes. I saw him in concert.
Have you ever heard of Zeppelin?
Okay, go ahead. Who's your 2? Because Dad's got
Sun,
2.
Probably Away from the Sun is my favorite song of 3 Doors Down. So, but the first one, Eva Cassidy, and I think you guys probably know Eva Cassidy. Yeah. Maybe not.
I need to know more. But
Eva Cassidy. And this is something that we're going to discuss in Covers Better Than the Originals, because essentially she only did covers. She really wrote no original music. She did covers. My favorite album of hers is Time After Time, which is a Cyndi Lauper song. But she redid it so beautiful. She does Kathy's song, Penny to My Name. Anyway, I want you to listen, and this will be on our thing, but Eva Cassidy is one of my favorite artists of all time. By the way, she was born in 1963. She died in 1996. She lived 33 years. She died of melanoma. I mean, that's skin cancer. She died of melanoma. She was, if you listen to her sing, she's just one of her albums is Songbird. She's a beautiful songbird. She was an artist in painting and sculpture. She was an artist through and through. She actually became popular in the UK initially, and most of her music was released after her death. She's had 3 number 1 records in the UK after her death, and she sold over 10 million records.
Wow.
After her death. Eva Cassidy, it'll be on the timeline, one of my favorite artists of all time. I've just lucked into listening to her. It kind of came up on my playlist, and it was fantastic. So.
All right. And, you know, I don't know if you saw this, LJ. I think you're a fan of SZA or however you say her name. But recently she withdrew from a TDE championship tour due to swollen vocal cords. And she thought maybe she would never be able to sing again. And she said today she announced that she will be able to sing again and that she's working on it, which is really good.
I didn't know about that
love
at all,
her.
but that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
So yeah. I think that'll do it for this week. Yeah. It's been a good show. I really enjoyed it. At least I don't know. We'll see if everyone else did. But it's been a good day. I hope you had a good day. I hope all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Yeah. I hope you had a good one in retrospect now because
now you're looking back. I hope you didn't take that Phil Mickelson thing too seriously. Come on, just relax a little bit. Just take a shot of Malort and relax. All right, and then I think that'll do it for this week's. This week, about a week from now, we'll all be in the same place. So
I'll see you guys in about 4 days.
We may be recording from the same spot. We'll see, but
we'll have to get some Malort and some gravy. And
hey, it's happening. maybe even wake up with a Guinness Stout one morning. Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
So, and some shepherd's pie.
If we can figure that out, we got to try. Yeah.
But for this week, that'll do it. You can always find us again on Twitter at JPP Podcast or on our website at jpppod.com. We always put in the show notes, any of the videos or anything we kind of talk about. If we try to explain it with some bad radio, you can always watch the video and actually see what we're talking about. And just hit us up if you got any questions. And then maybe let us know what you would choose. Would you shoot the free throw or would you shoot a 5-foot putt to win it all? Just let us know. So for me, Dad, is that it? We good?
Yeah.
I'm
Peace.
out.
Happy Father's Day.
All right. Peace.
Ron Artest actually has 4 numbers on that list that I found.
37,
that dude
93.
Kills it. I've lost the list now, but yeah, he's the only person to wear like most numbers above 70. So
I'm trying to think. 93, 91, 37.
What were you looking at? What website, El?
Here it is. I'll put a link in Skype real quick for you guys.
Mitchell and Mouse or something.
That's it, yeah. Boom. Mitchell and Ness. Yeah, there's a lot of Meta World Peace up in this. 96, 93.
I think 96, 73 and 37 maybe.